Wealthi Experts, where we are bringing on experts in their field to help us build effectively a wealthy life.
Welcome back to the Wealthi Experts podcast. I am Louis, and today have I got a treat for you all. Our guest is not only the 2019 winner of the UDIA New South Wales Women in Leadership Award, the 2019 UDIA New South Wales Award for Excellence in Small Infield Development, the winner of the HIA New South Wales Housing Business Partner of the Year Award, the 2019 Top Women in Construction, Top 100 Women in Construction. She's a board and more reform advocate for women in property. She's the ambassador for the Australian Ballet. Marie Doyle, ladies and gentlemen. She is the co-founder of Fiducia Property and also the development director. Marie, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. So what an introduction. Thank you.
I know. I mean, I could have kept going. 2016, 2015, 16, 17, 18. These awards just keep piling in for you, Marie.
That's very generous. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, Marie. Marie, let's kick it right off. Obviously, we're all working from home. You look lovely as always. Talk to me about you and Ben working from home, and how is the obviously proud mother of three? How's the home life set up at the moment?
Well, you know what? It was actually nice to get up this morning and put a face on and put a jacket on and actually, get face to face with you today on camera. So that's really great. But yeah, look, it's not every day doesn't look like this, that's for sure. So I think the whole working from home thing has definitely been a curveball for a lot of people. And as you said, we are working from home with three almost teenage daughters. So it's been really interesting. I think there's always two ways to look at everything. And whilst we're really grateful that our business is still continuing, I guess the biggest thing is that we are home with our kids and getting to spend time with them. I look back to last year's lockdown and it was quite different to what we're experiencing this year. There seems to be a lot more pressure, I think, this year with just the things that are going on and the restrictions and those types of things that have been evolving. Whereas last year it was almost a bit like a novelty and, we didn't really know how long it was going to last. But I think for me, I think one of the greatest things is, starting a business and having a business so long ago and so early in the piece is I never really took time off with my kids. Like I never had maternity leave. Having your own business, you just don't do that. You used to take the girls to all the site visits or they'd be on the floor at the office or whatever. So to actually get to spend time with them and, help them with their education and get to do all those things with them that I wouldn't normally get to do on a daily basis, I think is a bit of a blessing. But we are grateful that construction is continuing and we are back open now. That's definitely a win for our industry, and Ben and I certainly got a lot on our plate. So it's good.
I mean, it's lovely to hear you're also enjoying the lockdown. I mean, we're verging on day 100 soon. So, I mean, we've probably gotten used to it so far. But something you touched on just then, you and Ben started your own business, Fiducia Property, in 2004. 2004, Fiducia Property began. Now, you and Ben, how did you both get into the industry? Did you, for our viewers at home, I know your backstory. I know it well, and I know you well. But for everyone listening, how did you and Ben being your partner, firstly get into property, but at the same time, find yourselves in owning your own business?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ben actually started his property development journey quite early on in around 1998, 2000. And so he was actually mentored by a great friend and a great Australian property person here in Sydney. And so he really started his journey quite early, and his first building was a block of, I think, 30 in Bellevue Hill. And so that was his first building, and we were like the original block back then. So we would buy the old red brick buildings, the 6-packs, the blocks of 4, whatever it was, and we would renovate them. So that's how we started. So we've done over 72 projects now, individual projects throughout the last 15, 16, 17 years. And but that's really where we sort of kicked off our journey. And I remember, rolling walls till 2 a.m. pregnant some nights, and we used to get on the tools and those sorts of things. But yeah, so we started our journey in the renovation space. That was what we did. We used to buy blocks of apartments, buy them at wholesale, we used to say, we'd renovate, add value to them, and then strata them down and sell them individually. So that was our model for a really long time. And then obviously we grew Fiducia over the time, and now we do a lot of small and medium density new build developments as well. And now moving into some of the larger things that we're doing, including a major master plan development up on the Central Coast. So
which we'll touch on in a little bit.
So it's been quite a journey. And interestingly, Ben and I, we have very different roles in our business. So he's very much focused on, I guess, the big vision and the big picture for the projects and the type of work that we do in our pipeline. I'm very granular. I like to get in there and work on the acquisitions, work with the funding, the finance side of things. Also, I'm quite on the detail of the marketing and interior side of things as well, so it's kind of good. Like, I've got my creative passion, and I've also got my I guess my passion for numbers as well. But we have very distinct roles in what we do in the business. And we've obviously grown a team now as well over that period of time. So it's not just Ben and I anymore.
I was going to say, not to just you two slaving away. But it sounds like, I mean, you both have a passion for not only development, but, plugging a hole where I believe in the Sydney market, we probably in the history, the development level is lacked on style, interior design, and that boutique finish. And I looking some of for the viewers at home, you can scroll through the screen. Jenny will put up some photos now of some of the developments: the Harriet Neutral Bay, which is ongoing, the Oak House in Walsh Bay, the Sea, Clovelly, the Grace and Northbridge, the Victorian and Mossman, and obviously many, many more. But how did you forge and also for any developer that's listening, looking to get into the space, how did you forge your style, or where did you get your, I guess, inspiration from? Obviously starting out, as you said, in those blocks of 4s, box 8s, and doing the subs, and very, very hands-on, to now doing that a more of a high class finish. Where do you think you developed your style from, and you got that inspiration over the period from when, as you said, 1998 to 2004, or all the way up until now?
Yeah, look, that's a great question. I think it's two-pronged. So one side of things is Ben and I love to travel, so we've always pulled inspiration from all the different places that we've been. We're massive fans of development as a whole and the industry, and just, I guess, design consciousness as well is one of those aspects of what we really love. So I can't say that I'm responsible for all the creative genius that comes out of our projects. We collaborate a lot with really, really talented interior designers, architects. We certainly hold the vision for what we want to achieve for that particular project. But we definitely rely on our partners and our team to bring that all together at the end of the day. The other thing we really look for is where the project is, and we like to draw cues from the actual surroundings in the community and what that looks like in situ in that particular project. So Clovelly Valley, for instance, it's an iconic building down near the beach at Clovelly. It's got these beautiful big sweeping curves. And that is really about, taking something that is iconic to the area and the way that the landscape of Clovelly is, and then creating that within that space. If I was to put that in North Sydney, it would look so out of place. But, likewise, we're building the Harriet at the moment, and that takes some cues from the heritage and the Art Deco era of that particular community and of that particular region. And we've really used those throughout all of the marketing, throughout the design, throughout the interiors, to actually bring that richness back to the project. And I think, when we're looking at a project, the design is definitely one of the things that we love to get right, but it's also how do we tell that story and how do we give back to the community and creating a landscape which is going to look good for, all the years to come. And it's not just, a block of apartments plonked in the middle of somewhere.
Because you mentioned Clovelly, and you can see on that in the parts of the eastern suburbs, and mainly you look at your Bondis all the way down to Maroubra, that classic, as you said, the brick block of floor. The brick block of 4. And then now these projects are starting to stand out. You see these boutique developments like yourself. And I'm not just saying this because, we're looking at each other right now, Marie, but I hold your developments in a very, very high regard. They're gorgeous finished, and they always finish to, you can't even tell between, what is projected and what's really been established. So it's a credit to Fiducia, and you guys, the team, doing those. Now, we touched on something before, which I want to bring up because I feel that this is going to be not only massive for Fiducia itself, but at the same time, you and Ben's, personal achievements. You've got the Tuggerah project in the Central Coast. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so look, the Tuggerah project is a really exciting development. It's probably the biggest project that we've taken on at Fiducia. So it's a 16-hectare site, and it's adjacent to the train station there in Tuggerah. So what we're creating is a master plan for a transport-orientated development, which is basically like a small city. So it's going to have a combination of different types of accommodation and living. So residential, some build to rent. There'll possibly be some social housing or disability housing as well from an affordability point of view. There'll certainly be some light industrial type play in there. It's really going to be an activity hub, so a place where people can live, work and play long term. And it's about creating something, I think, on the Central Coast, which is now only an hour away by train and by North Connects. It's about creating something quite special and a bit of a destination. So we're also going to have a hotel there, a really large lagoon, outdoor green space. So it's a really exciting opportunity to take all of the knowledge and all of the skill that we've gathered over the years of all these different smaller projects and really apply that to creating a really incredible community up there on the Central Coast and giving that area something which is a bit of a legacy project.
I mean, it'll be a landmark location now. It's steering away from your traditional, beautiful boutique, small infill developments. What made you not only, was it a market thing, or was it an achieve? Like, where did you and Ben, of course, and the team, how did the idea come to what? Like, how did it come to fruition? Where did it stem from?
Yeah, so interestingly, it's actually zoned as an industrial site. So we actually lodged for a DA approval. We actually solved a lot of the problems that were on the land. So there was a lot of issues to do with flooding and some other issues and things like that. So the land had actually sat dormant for quite a long time. So when we acquired the block of land, we went straight into basically resolving all of those issues, brought in all of our consultants, resolved it to be able to just build on it. And so we've got a DA approval at the moment for an industrial lot subdivision. So that's approved, and we've got the big ticket approval. For us, it's about how do we create highest and best use of anything we do. And so, yes, we could do an incredible industrial subdivision there. It would be great. It would serve the needs of the market. But is it really what the community needs? So, for us, it's always about looking, what can we create? How can we push the boundaries? How can we innovate here to create something that's going to actually, support the community and give something to an area which is growing? A lot of the regional planning and some of the new controls and things that are happening up there, up on the Central Coast, is all about creating these types of projects up there. So for us, I think it would be a disservice to not go down this path. Truly, I think, by just doing an industrial subdivision, it's a very vanilla tick the box. There's definitely a lot more work, but I also think it's what they need up there.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. In theory, that's, you couldn't have put it better yourself. It's probably most suited to what's happening up there at the moment. We're seeing in our space a lot of demand for not only the Central Coast, Newcastle. We can feel obviously people are being probably pushed out of Sydney to buy property or to buy residential real estate as an investment or as an owner-occ sense. But there is a lot of opportunity on the Central Coast at the moment, especially now we get better connectivity. We're running direct within probably what's it take to the Central Coast now from Sydney?
Well, it's now an hour, and I think that's all part of that growth corridor. Like that whole region. If we can lift the whole region all together, it just makes sense. It makes sense. There's definitely a migration out of Sydney to the Central Coast for a lot of people, particularly for people from an affordability perspective. So I think definitely supports that growth plan for New South Wales.
Now, to swing us back to your developments in Sydney, not in particular any development, but obviously you have a foot and in the market yourself, as in your eyes on the ground. You're looking to acquire more sites all the time. You're looking at what the projects are worth and what they're selling for. And coming out of the back of the first lockdown, did you find it? What did you feel like the market was going to do to now coming out of this lockdown? Obviously, there was a lot of uncertainty last year. We look back, we didn't really know what was going on. In some people's eyes, the world was going to end, and we saw a very uncertain phase. Now, coming out of the back of this lockdown, how do you feel the market progressing over the next year, especially in that townhouse, new development, or new real estate sector of the wider Sydney market?
Yeah, look, I think there's been a lot that's happened in this last year, and there's been a lot of things that have unraveled themselves over this last year. One of the biggest things with this lockdown, and I think the difference was that construction was shut down. So that was one of the biggest things, and I think that's definitely something that developers are conscious of moving forward. That ability that a construction pipeline could be shut down so quickly. Now, admittedly, everybody has done their best to get those things back up and running, and we are back up and running. We're at 50% capacity on a lot of sites at the moment, with a lot of the trades and workers in these lockdown LGAs. So it's, those sorts of things are unforeseen. And I think moving forward into next year, I think just purely because of what's happened, I think there is going to be some type of, in the back of your mind, thinking about construction costs and escalation and allowing for those times of shutdown, or allowing for COVID restrictions on site. So I think that's something that you need to be aware of as developers moving forward. What does that look like, and how do you forward plan to allow for that? The other flip side of that is materials and supply and construction. Are we going to have these materials and supply and construction to be able to continue through and build our pipeline out, build new projects, be able to have those things available, and at what cost? So I think there's those types of things that are impacting this side of it, which was very different to last time. The other side of it is what's been happening with all the building regulation and reform. So we've now got the building commissioner on board, who's basically regulating and reforming the whole development industry in a positive way. We truly believe to be able to have the good developers rise to the top, and to be able to get rid of some of the ones that have been doing not so great work over the time. And I think what that's doing is it's keeping people accountable and giving people confidence to actually buy back into off-the-plan apartments and townhouses and things like that moving forward. The whole idea of buyer confidence and being able to get people back in the market and feeling good again and buying again is all part of that. So there's a lot that's happened in this last year behind the scenes, through lockdown, out of lockdown, and going on. And Ben and I are involved in some of those panel discussions with HIA and UDIA, which are our industry bodies. So, and I think it's for the positive. I think at the end of the day, we're still seeing strong inquiry. Been slightly slow with some of the numbers that are being released on a daily basis. People, I think, react in fear, but the general consensus is that we're still selling. People are still looking. People are still buying. And I think we're going to continue to see that next year, particularly as property becomes less available. Approvals are low. All those things are low. So property is going to become scarcer, and people are ready to move. So I think there's a lot of things that are different this time, for sure. There's
one thing that you said there, which is really interesting, to coming from probably the standard. You hear about these people buying or the horror shows or whatever. You hear them on your current affairs, buying off the plan and things, and they think it's always the developer or the developers, they're taking their time and this and this and this. So it's very nice to hear someone. No, developers aren't taking their time.
Yeah,
they want to hit deadlines as much as a person wants to pick up their keys. So it's everybody listening to a development manager yourself. Developers are pushing hard.
Yep.
Obviously, during lockdowns and where capacity on sites and stuff is going to hinder timelines. But where you guys are pushing as hard as you can. I know Victoria at the moment, I believe they're on 25%, or they're even less than half of New South Wales. So we're pushing ahead, and it seems like buyer sentiment is still there, especially even past this. And I've said this on previous podcasts, and I've been pretty. I'm pretty passionate about it. I think that the people or the naysayers that are negative towards buyer sentiment or not buying or holding off are going to miss out on opportunities not only next year, the year after that. You know, if you're sitting in your wings, and tell me if you agree with this, if you're sitting in the wings and saying, I'll wait till there's a correction phase, I'll wait till the market slows, or I'll wait till prices come back, do you feel like they're going to miss out?
I think the opportunity of a lifetime comes around every day. So, I mean, but that's my attitude. So, I mean, this whole lockdown, I've probably done more feasibilities and looked at more sites in terms of acquisitions than I ever have before. So, I think there's always opportunity, and I think everybody's always at different stages of their pipelines as developers, as their buyer journey as a retail buyer. So, I think it's such an individual thing to be able to say, are people missing opportunities? I don't know if they're missing opportunities. I think everybody's in such different circumstances right now. So I think there's definitely opportunities to be had out there. I think there's definitely some good buying, and from a development perspective, I also think we're in a really strong market at the moment for sellers as well.
I agree. And now, this is a tip for investors. Obviously, we have a lot of property investors listening. From an experienced investor yourself, not only in the business, not only investing on behalf of the business, getting sites and a few other things, and investing in all different walks of life, have you got any tips for the people who are looking to invest, or who have now the capability to invest, the capacity to invest? It may be their first time, maybe their second time. Let's go with first time. Maybe it's their first time investment. Have you got a tip or a trick to share that, might give them assistance?
Yeah, so I think it depends on what you're investing for. Like, everybody invests for different things, as these, your investors would know. Are you investing for cash flow, capital growth, whatever that is? I like to go with the ultimate and go for both. The best way to do that is to buy a property that you can add value to. Whenever you're adding value, you're always going to get the capital growth, but you're also going to get that forced depreciation. So I always think adding value has always been my strategy, and that's always worked with everything we've done. So even if it's been, a small apartment that we've bought and we've added value to, and we've flipped it, or we've kept it and drawn the equity down in it, whatever it is, I always think if you go with the approach of adding value when you're looking at an investment, it's very hard to go backwards, and you're always going to get some type of financial gain on that, whether it's an immediate gain or whether it's a longer term gain, depending on what your strategy is. The other thing I would say at the moment, which is a really interesting space, and I actually ran into a couple of younger guys that had been to one of our property events a long time ago in New Zealand, and had seen Ben speak. And he approached me in the car park and he said, I just wanted to come over and say hi. And I'm a massive fan. And I was like, oh, okay. And so we started talking about what he was doing. He said, I'm out and I'm just, looking at property at the moment. I said, oh, that's awesome. He was like in his late 20s. And I was really excited. And then I actually was talking to him about some things, and I actually shared this strategy with him. I said, look, one of the interesting things that have just happened in Sydney is a lot of the local government areas have released the ability to be able to do complying developments for dual occupancies, complying developments for manor homes, which is basically a 4-pack, the old 4-pack, so 2 up, 2 down. The ability to be able to do multiple dwellings on one piece of land, but without the effort or longevity of having to do a DA, or the costs of having to do and lodge a full development application. So you can do these under complying development or a CDC, which is a very quick and easy way. Sometimes within a few weeks, you can have these approved to be able to do multi-dwellings on pieces of land now. So that's a real strategy that I think if you were an investor and you had some cash and you had the ability to, without a lot of development knowledge, you could navigate that and do, turn 1 into 2 or 1 into 4. And that to me is adding value. That you're either adding value through development, i.e. adding more dwellings, or through, renovation. So those are 2 really great ways to add value. And so those would be my 2 top things in terms of what you could do from an investment strategy at the moment.
Okay. And you touched on then that, I totally agree. I think that is those 2 are definite strategies out there for investors to look at. would you say you have to be pretty cash heavy or maybe sophisticated in a way of cash management to because it's a sort of a mini development. You've got to be pretty cash savvy.
Yep. It's definitely not a passive investment, put it that way. I mean, these are the types of investments that you're going to be wanting to not just park your money and go, park it and get a return. This is for somebody who wants to be a little bit more aggressive with, or hands-on.
Hands-on, yeah, sure.
Hands-on with their investment. And again, being hands-on with the investment is where you're going to see that level of growth. So, you might have these guys that are hungry and they're out there and they're looking and they want to put some time and energy into it and they want to be able to get those add value returns.
Okay.
And the return on investment can be, in the over 50 to 70% returns in a lot of these projects just by adding multiple dwellings. So
yeah,
I would say that you definitely probably have to have some cash behind you to do that. It might not be your first investment, but it's definitely
a strategy.
Yep.
Especially probably one that maybe a lot maybe look over or don't not even realize that's the potential's there.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned that Ben was in New Zealand. He is a very well-renowned international, I can say now, property expert and motivational and speaker. He's amazing at what he does. Obviously, him not being here, I would love to have asked him a few questions. But for the guests, what does Ben do at his seminars, and what's he talking about? What's his audience, and where does his expertise lie? Yeah,
absolutely. So Ben's been, I guess, a bit of a development mentor for people over the course of the last 10 years, and really just sharing his knowledge. So when he was in New Zealand, he was doing a lot of events with the team over there talking about cash flow positive property in New Zealand. We have a few properties in New Zealand which are cash flow positive, where you're buying in smaller regional towns, you're adding a little bit of value to it and you're putting tenants in and collecting the rent. Those types of things were quite popular over there. There's been some obviously changes and things in New Zealand recently. So he was really involved in property workshops, so 2 and 3 day property workshops, taking everybody from start all the way through to completion of a property journey and the things that you need. So teaching people how to build your team, having the right accountants, solicitors, architects, town planners, all those different people that you want on your team in order to be able to do developments and do property. So most of the stuff that he taught was these types of basic development skills for people to be able to get up and running and do these types of projects that we spoke about. Definitely some of the cash flow positive stuff, but more around building out your team and how to do developments. And so he worked with a guy over in New Zealand, David Leon. So he's got a company over there called Wealth Mentor. They've worked together for many, many years, teaching people all over Australia and New Zealand property.
It's amazing. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Ben myself, and he's a very inspirational individual. Anybody listening, have a look at Ben and Marie's story as well online. But a question for you, Marie, and about you. Obviously, you are an exceptional, award-winning, to say the least, female in the industry. Have you got any tips and tricks, very similar to our investor question, but for young females aspiring to get into the property industry, whether or not that be in development, in sales or leasing or managing or valuations, or young females in the industry at the moment to really make their mark?
Yeah, look, I would say exactly that. Find your niche, find what it is that you want to do and really hone in on that. I'm a big believer in having mentors as well, finding a mentor or somebody that can help you through that journey of what you're doing, and also education and upskilling. Like, just immerse yourself in what it is. If you want to be in design, immerse yourself in design. If you want to be a town planner, immerse yourself in sales, marketing, whatever that is, become the best at what your niche is.
Undeniable.
Yeah, and I think that's key, because I think development and property in general can be overwhelming because there's so many different facets to it, and there's different elements that you need to understand and learn. That's taken me, the good part of 14 years to learn all the different parts that I now know, and lead my team with. But, I think starting out, I would say pick one thing and just become the master of that, like really learn it inside out and get so good at it that that's your niche. I think it's that shotgun approach. You don't want to be shotgunning everything and just, ending up not great at anything. So I would say do that and look to mentors, look to people that, can really direct you and help you on your path of where you're at.
I think that's a big one as you grow older. I think there's an age bracket where you look at mentors. You always get fed mentors at school or from a very young age. There's always public speakers and people who come out and talk to you. You don't really take it all in until maybe you're in your early 20s, and then you start to realize, oh my goodness, like they've not only done what I'm doing before me, but I think you gain an appreciation for how good people are.
Yes.
And so I can imagine all your kids listening to speakers now, or, even yourself or Ben listening to speakers, the different, when you take it in differently, like, I know I wish I could personally go back and talk to mentors that I had in the past that I wish I could reach out to again and just say, give me it all again. Like, I want to hear it all again now, because I have a really good appreciation, understanding, like even talking to you right now, you get to take it all in.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. Mentors and listening to people who have done it before, like it's, history repeats itself. So if you can get you can forge a really good understanding and make your mark by just listening to people that are being in the industry. Now, 2 questions to finish it off, Marie. I won't take any more of your time, but we always ask, and Dom, the listeners out there, you're listening to a different voice today. Usually you have the beautiful Dom Neshi in front of you, but you have to put up with me for your half an hour. Nonetheless, what is your 1% wealth hack that you've done in this, not only lockdown, but something that you can change, the 1% that you can change on your daily basis? It might be very personal to you. It might be something that you've read or you've learned over the past, say this lockdown, last lockdown, even during your life. But is there a 1% that you do every day that you feel like you can, that makes a difference?
Yeah, look, I would say that, and it's not just been this lockdown, I think it's a bit of a theme for my life, that wealth is health. So, I think it really, and that's in overall health, like taking care of yourself physically, mentally, really making sure that you're served first. Like if you're not looking after this, none of that even matters. Why are you going to go after your goals? Why are you going to go after your dreams? Why are you going to, bother building wealth? Nobody wants to be completely wealthy and unhealthy. What's the point of that? And Ben and I are massive believers in that. So we're all about, having a wellness aspect to our life, whatever that looks like, whether that's moving our bodies every day, whether that's eating well, whether that's, mentally filling our cup with podcasts or, people that inspire us. I think that's critical. I think, none of the other stuff matters unless you have that taken care of. And then it's a flow-on effect, because when you're taken care of and your health is in check, you attract opportunities, you attract that wealth into your life, you attract the good things into your life. So I would say that's probably my life hack.
There you go. And you're a very positive person as well, Marie. I know that you've always got a smile on your face, and you're not only influencing the people around you, your family, your friends, people in the industry. I'm very proud to call you, I'd say, my friend. And a lovely lady I've grown to know. So Marie, thank you so much for your time today. Anyone listening who wants to reach out to Ben and Marie or the Fiducia team about any property question, topic, or if they want to talk to you about your sales, your upcoming projects, what you've done past. I know Marie is always an open book, and they're always taking on people and listening and talking. So please do. Fiducia Property, an amazing group. Marie, an amazing person. Thank you for all your time today. And Dom and I will, we'll see you next week.
Fantastic.